Mass recycling centers, part of the national standard of waste. The government can provide a source of low cost reclaimed items to the public that would previously have been put in landfills. The objects given freely by residents and businesses can be effectively recycled and resold for profit of the city and profit for the environment. If we can have the goal to put as little as possible into our trash cans, we can change how much goes into landfills. Just because someone doesn't need something anymore does not mean the object should be in the trash. Out of sight and out of mind is dangerously wrong. Mass recycling centers will collect people's unwanted objects, their waste, and turn it into a resource for the local community. People should be encouraged to be creative and use what materials are already available instead of instinctively purchasing new. People should be encouraged to fix what they have and not add to landfills. People can be empowered to do their part for reducing waste at a residential level. In many states, people don't know where or don't have a place to put their trash, waste, or recycling. The national standard of waste can give Americans an easy path to reduce waste while creating jobs at all levels. Mass recycling centers can be a sustainable path for recycling as humans continue to depend on plastic. Mass recycling centers can use existing infrastructure and create thousands of jobs and create resources for local schools or job training. Trash and waste are very different. Just because a returned object or product will not make a company a profit does not mean that it becomes trash. If the object is still in sellable condition, the object should be given a chance to be purchased. Companies can send online returns to a local mass recycling center, and the mass recycling center can send it where it can be sold for profit or donated for raw supplies. By investing in mass recycling centers, we can invest in America. We can invest in local towns, and people want to help. America can be the leader in cleaning up the plastic mess humans have made. At the local mass recycling centers, electric vehicles will deliver materials collected from residents on a regular basis. If a state does not have a current trash pickup or a mass recycling center will be created and pickup or drop off can begin for the area. Multiple loading docks and back doors at current empty malls and shopping centers allow easy transfer of large materials. There is large enough storage area without being visible to the public in malls that are no longer profitable as retail space. The mall circles can create an easy way to recycle multiple materials at one location. Malls have multiple levels, so the top can be used as retail space to create revenue. What is brought to the mass recycling center in good condition or fixable condition will be sold to the public for a fraction of the price or used to help those in need in the lower class. The gap between poverty, middle class, and the upper class can be reduced at the same time as the national standard of waste becomes the new normal. We can bring life back to dying coal communities and bring jobs back to ghost towns by creating mass recycling centers. If there is no mall, unused buildings can be remodeled for organization. Every state will have an office that coordinates with the national office. Hands-on training for students of local schools and job placements are positive benefits to organizing our waste. Home economics class can be given supplies collected from mass recycling centers to be fixed or for resale. Or they can take it apart for things like zippers or buttons, seams, large swatches of material, yarn. We are overflowing with materials, so we need to use what we have to create what we need. Auto mechanics can be hosted at local mass recycling centers for vocational training. Learning to fix objects is going to be a valuable skill for generations to come, and it's a skill that many generations have lost. Only trash will go to landfills. Mass recycling centers take macro through micro objects in bins from households and businesses. Waste and recycling bins will be collected by electric recycling trucks holding macro objects. All cardboard, except shipping boxes, will be accepted, flattened required. Light materials, flexible plastics, must be protected from wind and contained while in transit. Bag it, seal it. The mass recycling will have city truck drop-off areas, public drop-off donations, Republic wards and retail wards if space allows. If there is not enough space for retail, vacant buildings would be used to house the organized objects into retail areas locally. Much of what goes into landfills and in the trash can is because consumers don't know what else to do with it. Consumers want to do the right thing, but they have no path. Most consumers don't know how to properly break down an item into recyclable parts. Most people don't know how to fix what can be fixed, or they don't have the correct tools. This is where waste can be greatly reduced at mass recycling centers. For example, if someone has a speaker that breaks and they don't know how to fix it, they can put it in the waste bin. It would go to the mass recycling center. They can send it to a school for a kid to try and fix it and learn, or they can take it apart if it's not fixable and use pieces for something else. They can recycle the metal. They can send it back to the producer so that it can be used in a different product instead of sitting in a landfill. Objects collected by city trucks will be organized into material categories by materials at the mass recycling center. What can be fixed or is in good condition can be resold at a profit for the town. The mass recycling center could employ a number of employees, licensed or in training, and offer a wide range of tasks for people at all different skill levels. Mass recycling centers can be hands-on training for anyone who loves to take things apart and try to fix them. What they can fix can be income for the town. What pieces are collected and organized can be profit for the local economy. Yeah. This is an excellent place for education to occur. People should be encouraged to fix what they have and not add to landfills. People can be empowered to do their part for reducing waste at residential levels. Creating a national standard of waste is a great opportunity to include the use of electric vehicles and having more charging stations around the nation. Mass recycling centers can have charging stations for local residents too. Thinking green could now mean thinking about putting as little as possible in the trash can. Green for the planet to be green. We need to start a whole new generation of taking care of our earth from our homes. We can learn the difference between trash and waste. We can organize our waste to reduce pollution and reduce the amount of landfills needed. We can empower people to take care of the earth. We can give people the tools to make real change. At one time, there was a goal to get a computer into every home, and now it can be the goal to use the national standard of waste. Mass recycling category definitions. So we've already dealt with materials. Now we're going to deal with their size and their weight. Macro to micro scale for the mass recycling center. So it's a scale from 0 being plastic wraps that the wind will take. Anything that is light and that is easily picked up by the wind needs to be contained. Bag it and seal it. Those would be numbers 0 and 1. Flexible plastics and rigid plastics that are heavy or light, so would be 2 or 3, which means food containers like yogurt or eggs or milk jugs. They're still light, but they're rigid, or they're flexible. Rigid would be things like kids' toys. When it's broken, it is sharp. So that would be laundry containers and food containers. And then from there, it goes into poundage. Number 4 is 0 through 10 pounds, any material. It's light, a person can pretty much pick it up themselves. Number 5 is 10 through 29. It's getting heavier, and then it can be any material. If it fits in the bin, it will be taken. Number 6 is team lift of any material. Number 7 is getting heavy. You need a team lift or more than 2 people, but not machinery required. 8 is medium heavy, light machinery required for movement. 9 is heavy, machinery required. And 10 is the heaviest that needs heavy machinery required. And those numbers 7 through 10 will have pickup services or drop-off areas. Micro pieces that are smaller than the size of a baseball can be stored in open containers to be dropped off at a resident's convenience. For example, if someone has a cracked vase they can no longer use, but they just had a kids' party and they had rubber balloons. Pop all of the rubber balloons inside and then collect all of the rubber, put it in the vase, and then bring that to the mass recycling center. They will take the rubber and put it with other rubber materials to be recycled, and they'll take the glass vase to either be broken down or fixed or sold to a small business to add and maybe make the vase beautiful again instead of sitting in the trash or landfill. All right, other examples that can be in micro bins are twist ties, pen caps, broken kids' toys like the arm of a Barbie shoes or Barbie heads. Micro pieces can be a limitless variety. Empty pens and rubber bands are examples of pen or of office micro objects that can be collected easily and separately in every office. To reduce micro pieces from being dropped during transfer to the mass recycling center, having a micro bin near other waste or trash bins will decrease microplastics from getting in the environment, from our environments. All right, and then we have rigid plastics. And these are defined as any little piece of plastic, including game pieces or plastic silverware, that will be taken to the mass recycling center. If it breaks, it's sharp. If it will rip a bag, don't put it in the bag. The bag needs to stay sealed. All right, anything that is plastic and won't bend will be in rigid plastics. If it doesn't decompose, it needs to go to the mass recycling center. Items like laundry detergents and shampoo and yogurt containers would be sent to washing centers. Once washed properly, the large plastic containers can be reclaimed by companies, because if they've already got their logo printed on it, we've done half the work for them. And they will pay us because they'll have their ID number on it, and so then the city can charge the company for the work we've done to clean up their mess. All right. They can be reclaimed by companies or sent to Flexible Plastics Center for organization, relabeling, or lid container matching. And this is where plastic packaging reform would be helpful for organization. Yes. The more packaging that can stay in one piece, the easier to organize into the correct category at the mass recycling center. More can be recycled effectively and less sent to the trash. Raw materials can be created and put back into the supply chain. Reducing the need for production of new plastics is needed until we've cleaned up and recycled the plastic we already have. Washing centers will also have a restaurant container reclaiming area. Local restaurants will get to take their home plastic containers from the MRC. For example, when you have restaurant food and you want to take it home, you have that container. You put it in the waste bin. MRC will clean it and send it back to the restaurant for reuse. If it's not cracked, it can be used again. All right. Restaurants will use a closed loop recycling with the regular customers to reduce the amount of food containers the mass recycling center can intake and reduce what is ending up in our oceans. All right, number 2 and 3 for the National Standard of Waste is flexible plastics. No plastic bags, no wraps. Anything taken by the wind is a 1 or a 0. Flexible plastics are too heavy to be taken by the wind, but they're still light and they can still break because you can squeeze them. So this is an area that needs to be clearly defined for the public. This is food containers from companies or restaurants, and this category will need a cleaning station at the mass recycling center for all items handled. Once items are cleaned, they can be sorted and reintroduced to the supply line to local businesses. We can create a closed loop recycling with plastic items we use every day as a society. Anything damaged or not reusable will be disposed of. It is, if it ends up in the landfill, at least it's only a fraction that it was before. We will get better at reusing and recycling as time goes on and science gets better. Textiles and materials. Examples, sofas or old pillows, ripped clothes or old blankets, and stuffed animals can be cleaned and resold. They can be anything with machine-made seams will be accepted. Trashed objects can be collected, well, waste objects, yeah. Waste objects can be collected and broken down into smaller materials like fabric or stuffing for refreshing old couch cushions or stuffies. The Mass Recycling Center can reduce the physical amount of trash in landfills, or actually waste. What is donated in good condition can be resold. What is fixed should be fixed and resold or donated. What is not flexible or what is not fixable will be broken down into raw materials like zippers, buttons, lace, yarn, things that can be reused for different projects. People who have extra furniture can have it picked up for free and the city can resell it. There is no need for anyone to want to buy anything new again. Only in America do we have storage units because we have so much stuff. So, for example, someone that doesn't want their couch because there's a stain on it, but it's still perfectly fine, but they don't want the stain. They can give that couch to the mass recycling center, and someone there or someone at a local school learning upholstery can fix the stain and learn and practice, and then that couch, now looking brand new, can be resold for a fraction of the price to someone else who can use it, and it's not in the landfill. If the couch is just disgusting and it is not usable, the fabric can be taken off, the stuffing can be taken off, the cushions can be taken off, the zippers around whatever material is enclosing the cushions can be removed. The wood for the frame can be used. The metal for the joints and the screws can be taken down and used. Everything got put together, it can be taken apart. Large objects like mattresses will require companies to take back objects when one is purchased. All businesses and companies will need to invest in reusing reclaimed materials. Paper will not be a large portion at the Mass Recycling Center. Any paper or paper-like products will be taken to the United States Postal Service. See closed loop recycling or post office pivot. Cardboard will be considered different than shipping boxes. Small shipping boxes can be recycled if they fit in the given container. Otherwise, delivery companies like Amazon, FedEx, and UPS need to reclaim boxes from customers. Cardboard can be folded flat into a slim container that is easily hidden or clipped to other containers for later pickup design. Cardboard can be affected by the wind and rain, so containers will need to be weatherproof, protected, and contained. Companies need to be encouraged to create boxes that are easily foldable into a flat piece of recycling. If people struggle to flatten the box, they won't do it. Glass and ceramics. When a household breaks a plate, instead of placing the whole broken dish in the trash, the Mass Recycling Center can collect it. The collected pieces can be sold for mosaic-like activities. Glass workers or pottery people can be given raw supply for a cost-effective price, at the same time as keeping glass and ceramics out of the landfills and environment. If it is in the interest of the employees and the fact that the glass can break, it is in the interest of employees and the fact that glass can break can become very dangerous. Items like broken plates and drinking glasses will be encouraged for drop-off. If the glass bottles are collected and transported, much like egg cartons, like wine bottles or beer bottles, they will be going to other locations because they will have drop-off points. We can reduce the risk of injury for all working with recycling. If most glass bottles and wines are taken back by businesses with liquor licenses, the amount of glass the mass recycling center will need to take in will be reduced. Light bulbs can be a major category of glass recycling. Companies that can produce them can take them back and replace the broken parts. Aluminum and metal. Small pieces like screws, nuts, and bolts will be accepted in microbins. Any object that includes metal will be accepted. The mass recycling center will separate all the plastic from the metal pieces as possible. There is a metal collection system in most areas. I do not know what happens to it from there, but using local mass recycling centers, junkyards can be emptied. Any resources sitting unused will be found and properly recycled. The mass recycling centers can physically break the pieces of metal apart and sort out any metal that is unsuitable, unusable, or unsellable. What is able to be salvaged can be sorted and organized for the public to purchase or in the raw supply line. Any supplies the mass recycling center collects can become tools to fix a broken object that is placed in the waste bin. The metal collecting system that is in place can be expanded and elevated. We can build on and improve it by making it accessible and understandable to everyone. Metal consolidation can help reduce waste and create a way to reuse as much as possible. We can reclaim as much raw material as possible and reintroduce it to the supply chain. There are blacksmiths out there that can reshape and use metal collected by the mass recycling center as raw materials. We can reclaim land from the junkyards and make milkweed meadows. Electronic appliances. This section will work closely with metal and toxic recycling. This section will have a repair ward that will be divided into further sections like auto or tech supplies. Anything that has a plug or a battery can go in this category. Employees will take apart the electronics for working parts or for companies to reclaim. If we can collect some raw materials back and correctly divide the rest, we can reduce what is sent to landfills. Humans need to stop creating new things before we can learn to do with what we're using. That's weird. All right, batteries. Used batteries can be brought to the mass recycling center for recycling. Stores that sell large electronics like Best Buy will be required to have a recycling drop-off. Where that recycling goes will be regulated and tracked to make sure all stores are not just putting it in landfills. Mass recycling centers will have specific drop-off and pickup areas for large, numbers 6 through 10, electronics like fridges, ovens, and all other household appliances, including water heaters, and all items that normally end up going into junkyards or the landfill. Items will be broken down into screws and bolts and any parts in good condition that can be resold for a profit for the town. Any micro objects, bolts and screws, can be cleaned and sent back to companies as reclaimed percent credit. Any toxic materials will be separated and sent back to the correct producer for reclaimed object credit. Styrofoam reform will be introduced. Styrofoam can be pre-formatted to help create clean breaks that are the sizes to fit in bins that can be reclaimed by the mass recycling centers. When styrofoam is forcibly broken, millions of micro bits are created that we can never fully clean. The company that produces it will have a styrofoam ID number. It can be tracked, and styrofoam should be phased out of production completely. No microparticles need to be created or reach our waterways. Shipping companies can have recycling drop-offs at the stores for easily reclaiming all products. Those are shipping byproducts. All shipping companies like Amazon, Target, USPS, UPS, and FedEx never need to buy new packing material if they took back what they already used. There is no reason they cannot reuse styrofoam or bubble wrap Any bubble wrap and air pockets, styrofoam, and cardboard boxes will be accepted back for free. The supply collected can be cleaned and reused until the bubble wrap or air pockets are recycled with the bags, plastic bags, 0 or 1. Companies can make it easy to clean for people to take back their shipping materials for reuse. Shipping and packaging is a daily occurrence, so there needs to be a set of rules for people to follow to control the production and waste of packaging. See, unpackaging packages expectations, is we need to be prepared for the byproducts of how America expects everything to come to their door in 48 hours. Drop off. Drop off would do micro bins with or without lids. Unused paint. States could sell collected paints to anyone willing to use old paints as a raw supply. Toxic waste. Examples: silica balls, cleaning supplies, unused medication. His unused medication main drop-off points will be in pharmacies. That's another video. All batteries or light bulbs will be accepted. Other recycling areas. The plastic wraps and bags, categories 0 through 1 for the MRC. And this is an area that needs to be clearly defined for the public. Anything light enough to be taken by the wind is a category 0 or 1. If it is clear and can be rolled into a ball, it needs to be contained during transportation. The stored drop-off of plastics right now is a good starting point for all of the types of plastic, but we need to expand what it takes in, and we need to be clear about where all those bags collected go. Packaging reform for companies will also be included. The plastic bag collections at stores are a starting point, but the current plastics do not accept enough. Any plastic bags in trees should make a person cry. We can tell that people that turtles are dying because they think plastic bags are jellyfish. We can highlight biodiversity loss as a reason to come together. Paper. The post office will absorb taking paper back. We can create links with the post office for collecting paper and shredding paper for recycling. We can redirect certain materials back into place that have the sorting capabilities. The USPS has been suffering, so let's expand what it's already good at: paper and sorting. It takes a little responsibility away from the mass recycling centers. There is already a pickup system in place for the post office to also include recycling paper. A different box can be created for homes to return unwanted mail and paper. Inbox and outbox for the USPS. Envelopes and flat paper will be taken back by postal workers and then sent to companies that recycle paper. Like, for example, holiday cards. You buy them, there's glitter and microplastics all over them. You write this letter, they read it. How many people keep that forever, and how many people just put it in the trash? Does it go in the trash? Because it's paper, right? But then would it be recycling? And all you need to do is, it's a month of use, and then it's in the trash for years. So companies need to start taking things back, like used envelopes, used cards, things that can be resold. Sensitive information can be collected and protected by the United States Post Office. I don't trust my trash carrier not to lose anything with my information in the wind. I trust the United States Post Office, or used to. The United States Post Office will have a shipping package drop-off. Any bubble wrap, air pockets, styrofoam, and cardboard boxes will be accepted back for free. The supplies collected can be cleaned and reused until the bubble wrap or air pockets can be recycled with the plastic bags. Styrofoam should be reusable until broken. At that point, it should be sent back to the producing company for reclaimed materials and reshaping. There are serious byproducts for America expecting everything to come to their door within 48 hours. The United States Post Office will have a shipping materials drop-off. Yeah, we already got that. All right, housewares ward. All right, this is for clothing and upholstered furniture. Anything in a home that does not have a plug or batteries will be included. Residents can purchase low-cost materials from objects people have thrown out, their waste. Furniture can be fixed and resold or broken down completely for nuts, bolts, and other raw materials. And that can be done by students or employees. Any supplies from broken down furniture can be sold as individual parts or used to fix and create new objects for low cost. All furniture of all materials will be accepted by bin, drop off, or pickup. This is, if we do students, this would be like a wood shop or a hands-on where someone would need the tools to fix the furniture. So if they want to learn that, the tools can be provided, the supplies can be provided, and the knowledge can be gained to benefit the economy and the local community. There can be donation centers where people can drop off boxes of clothing and other household items. Instead of having a garage sale, they can bring it to the mass recycling center. It will organize the objects for the town and get money for what it can sell. Clothing can be fixed or fabric can be collected and organized for other uses or small businesses. Clothing and textiles will be a rich source of learning how to fix clothes we already have and how to extend the life of fabrics of all clothes. We can create a better measurement system of clothes so that it can reduce the need to online returns and it can be the same as the rest of the world. If there is too much inventory for the mass recycling center to hold, the town can open its own discount stores using currently empty buildings. The lower class will greatly benefit. No child should be in need of clothing. No child should be cold in the winter. The electronic ward is anything with wires, plug, or battery can be accepted. Electronics objects collected by the mass recycling center can be sent to the repair ward or consumers can drop them off. Many people throw electronics out that have simple fixes. And if it can't be fixed by an employee, if it can be fixed by an employee, it will be fixed and sold. If an employee fixes and the object can be resold, a percent of the income will go to the employee or student that was able to repair it. We can make monetary incentives for employees or students to fix what was previously put in the trash for waste. Any supplies from broken down electronics can be sold as individual parts or used to create new objects for low cost. Major electronic companies can pay local mass recycling centers to break down their electronic waste because of their electronic waste ID number. And companies can pay the local mass recycling center to break down their electronic waste that otherwise would be sitting in a junk pile. There is raw material all around us, and if we stop thinking of objects as a whole, but instead as pieces needing to be taken apart. A motor ward would be necessary. Anything with a motor would be accepted. The motor ward employees can attempt to fix objects or strip them from parts. Either way, the mass recycling center will have a profit. Cars, lawnmowers, lawn tools, or even vacuums can be accepted. This area will also be different region by region and leisure activities. For example, California and Arizona are not going to have the same motor ward as Illinois or Wisconsin. Boats will have a repair areas near water, and areas like Illinois will have lawnmower repair. Tech apps. An app can be created to link every address to a recycling account. The truck drivers can access this app to add charges to the address for non-sorted recycling, or households can access the app to schedule object pickups. If there is a resident that has a constant issue that inhibits regular collection, they will be fined. If they don't want to help clean up, they can pay to have it cleaned up for them. The cost should be steep enough to justify the cost of the waste. Hamilton. Just because a person doesn't need an object doesn't mean that it's trash. The mass recycling center will sort all categories except trash. If we can keep the messy trash separated physically from the recycling, it will be clean and dry. All trash needs to be contained in a closed tied plastic bag. Non-compostable food waste accepted. No fluids, but gelatinous substances are okay. And this is part of the learning in school is we're going to do another video on how everyone needs to learn correct food disposal procedures. All right, no plastic in the trash, no wood in the trash, no rubber in the trash, no glass in the trash, no metal in the trash, no chemicals in the trash. All right, that's it. All right, that one's kind of rough. Sorry.